All right, guys. Hello. It's Giving Empress. So here, I am hearing a lot of kind of back and forth or feedback or request about job situations, right? So, um, I'm sitting here, it's Friday, and I'm not doing anything. So I figured, okay, let me jump in and give a small kind of tutorial type feedback situation for employment contracts or offer letters or employment situations. So, again, I always get content literally from everywhere, and I did kind of scroll through and I watched a young lady as she's talking about how she had taken a position or job that got quickly eliminated when she worked for like Apple Bottom or somebody. I don't know. It was on Jamal's, kind of podcast over there. Anyway, as you are taking these jobs in these positions, right? And this is for young people. This is for people that have been in business for, a while and haven't left from where they were working. So we're talking about people who have been in positions for long periods of time, right? So, 10, 20 years, because a lot of things have changed. Or for people that are going from an hourly working situation to a exempt situation. So we're talking about non-exempt people going to an exempt situation, or into a salaried situation as opposed to your hourly jobs, right? Because a lot of people don't understand that they can, ask for things, or they have the right to negotiate employment contracts or offer letters or things of that nature. So as I thought about this scenario, I'm going to use this scenario in general because there are things that you all need to think about, especially as you're graduating, as you're coming out of these colleges, as you're looking for employment, because you want to protect yourself, right? So a lot of people are afraid to ask for these things, or they think that when someone sends them something, that all they have to do is read over it and accept what's in there. Now, I am not telling you that, employers are going to adhere to your request. I'm not saying that they are going to say, yeah, we're going to give you these things, just like you want it. But I'm telling you to consider yourself, because sometimes people are not thinking past the position, the role, or, the employee employer relationship. They're not thinking past that. They're just thinking, let me put this stuff in an offer letter. These are the standard things we give. But when you are in certain positions, because at the end of the day, they really don't have to. If once you have gone back, right, with your request, etc., and they deny the request, okay, or they may accept some things, right, and they may update your contract or your offer letter and send it back for your signature, or they may just say, no, this is kind of what we have, this is the offer. Now it then becomes your kind of decision to decide if it's worthy, if it's worth it. Are you gonna go ahead and accept the offer anyway? Now, I'm not going to say that it's good or bad, because sometimes other things come into play. Things like allocated, salary for this line, and, finances come into play for whatever strategy they've set for the year. And sometimes they just don't have the additional funding to be able to adhere, to some of your requests. So don't take it as, like a kick in the face, but it doesn't hurt to ask. So a lot of times too, when you are coming out of college, or when you are really good at what you do, people want you to move right from one place to another. Now you personally have to ask yourself some things, because anything can happen within the time that you take a role or a job. The company, for instance, could get purchased and bought. They could be in the middle of an acquisition. It just really depends, right? Anything could happen, like the company could tank and they could lose money, or if anything comes up against the company to where they're being financially impacted, then you could be released from a role, especially if you are in an at-will state. Now, as you are thinking about things when you're taking these roles where you want to relocate, right? There are a couple of things that me personally, you would, need to give me in order for me to consider things like this. Now, I would consider, is this a new role? If it's a new role, that means the company has never had the role before, right? So it may be some Braxton Hicks along the way, because it's not something they're used to having at the company. So potentially this could fail, and they could see that it's not what they needed or what they thought they needed really soon, right? Like within a 90-day period or within a 6-month period, or whatever that may be, and they may decide to phase the role out, right? So that makes sense. Again, are you being fired because you did something wrong at cause? Or if it's an at-will state, they don't really need cause. If they're just telling you, if they're a great employer, they will be telling you a reason as to why this position is getting eliminated. Now, I would personally be thinking, is it worth it to leave from where I am and to go for another job in another state. Clearly, that would, kind of come to a few things. Now, me personally, I don't move for jobs, okay? Because my lifestyle is dependent upon a certain atmosphere. So, my first consideration is this somewhere that I would live if I didn't have this job? If it's not somewhere I would consider living if I didn't have the job, then just the money would not be enough for me to leave from where I am, to move for a job, because I have to think about my overall quality of life, and if it's something that I'm really interested in doing, if I should be terminated from this role, or if for whatever reason our personalities don't mix, there's a personality conflict, I don't like the direction that the company is going in, or if I no longer respect kind of the vision of the organization, or if I have a problem with leadership. Sometimes things just don't work out, because what you think in an interview and what happens really in reality when you go on a job are two different things. Right now, money alone would not make me move for a position. However, right, if it is somewhere after I've answered this question that I want to be, or that I wouldn't mind living whether I had the job or not, then that would check kind of that box for me. Now, once that question is answered, then the next thing for me, it would be, what do I do in the event that I should no longer be employed, right? Now, when you're leaving, it has to be some expenses that need to be covered. So first of all, my relocation would have to be covered. When we are thinking about relocation, we are thinking about things that are going to cost you to leave from your, where you are to where you're going, right? So do you have a lease that has to be paid in the case that you move? So do you have to terminate your lease early, right? Are you under any contractual obligations that need to be terminated early, like where you're living, in regards to your living kind of place? Are you do you need to do something to your car, like ship it, for instance, from one state to another? Or do you need to just cover a plane ticket to get to where you are, or cover gas to where you are? Do you need a rent-a-car for a short period of time until you're able to purchase a car? Whatever it may be, consider all these things, as part of your, relocation. Now, I would also consider asking for a sign-on bonus. Why? Because if you get terminated, then you can use that money temporarily to live off of, right? While you are looking for new employment. Me personally, I would also ask for up to 6 months, anywhere from 1 to 6 months of, can you cover my apartment expenses? Why? Because it is a kind of a guarantee built in. If something happens, then I want to make sure I'm covered. So I would ask for anywhere between 1 and 6 months. Now, I would also ask, for, again, I already said about the sign-on bonus, because in the case that you do get terminated or something happens, then you're technically covered, right? Because if your rent is covered or whatever have you, then you have anywhere from 1 to 180 days to find a new job, or to fix your situation so that you can head back to where you came from, if that's an option. But I would really think about making sure that you are fully covered on your personal side, because again, it's not even that the companies might be trying to screw you, but technically it could be that they've never had to relocate an employee before, so they have no experience with it, or they're just thinking about the traditional things of an employment letter, kind of benefits, the standard ones like medical, dental, vision, and, thinking about the salary to make sure that's covered, so they aren't considering other things. Or maybe just strategically, you never know, right? Because just because they have these titles, it doesn't mean they know exactly what they're doing. But I would consider these things. So hopefully this is helpful to someone who is making these decisions. And you can check back on Blast LLC. We have a lot of little tips there. I might be doing some additional tips here and there as these things come up. Anyway, have a great weekend. Bye.